Today we're going to look at Magic the Gathering cards that help your opponent more than it helps you. So I'm going to start off with the Indentured Djinn. It's a blue 1 generic 4/4 flying creature. Hey, 4/4 flyer for 3 mana. That's not bad, but there's a catch. When Indentured Djinn comes into play, each other player may draw up to 3 cards. I mean, that's basically you get a 4/4 creature and everyone else gets an Ancestral Recall. It's not always clear who's the master and who's the servant. This is crazy. Can we give this to somebody else as it's entering the battlefield? I don't know how to do that. I only know how to donate once it's already there. All right, we got Toads with Rainbow Veil. What a funny land this guy is. Add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. An opponent gains control of Rainbow Veil at end of turn. An opponent. It may not actually ever come back to you. It's not my Rainbow Veil. It's our Rainbow Veil. It's everybody's Rainbow Veil. What is this with, okay, Tyler with Guided Passage. It may combo with oh! That's an interesting one. Shield Red, whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a hefty price to play. You better have that Shield Red, I guess, as your commander. Guided Passage, red, blue, green, sorcerer. Reveal the cards in your library. An opponent chooses from among them a creature land, a land card, and a non-creature, non-land card. You may put the chosen cards into your hand, then shuffle. I don't know. Does this really help the opponent? You still get stuff, right? From among them, they just get to choose what you get. But, like, you still got a little bit of something, in my opinion. You got a little bit of something. Robert with the super chat with the Hunted Dragon. Oh, does the opponent get more than what you get? For a red 3 generic, we got a 6/6 dragon flying with haste. But when Hunted Dragon enters the battlefield, target opponent creates 3 2/2 white knight creature tokens with first strike. So you think the 2/2 knights will do better than the 6/6 flying dragon? You have haste. You get to attack first. I don't know, it's very, very close. In my opinion. Okay, Tommy with Treacherous Pit Dwellers. The Dwellers. Never even heard of this card. Treacherous. Oh, sorry, it was Pit Dweller. Treacherous Pit. There we go. Okay, we got a black 4/3 demon. When Treacherous Pit Dweller enters the battlefield from a graveyard, target opponent gains control of it. So yeah, so if you try to cheat, if you cheat this in play, or if it just had Undying, you basically kill the damn thing and now it's yours. Any removal spell. This is a great card. Any removal spell basically means this is your card now. It's like, every card is mind control. Fatal Push, mind control. Lightning Bolt, mind control. Everything's a mind control. That's hilarious. Oh my, this is a bit of a troll. Andrew goes Hypergenesis. But there's like a lot of truth to this. Anyone who plays with a Hypergenesis deck realizes, well, sometimes Hypergenesis doesn't exactly work out for you. Starting with you, each player may put an artifact, creature, enchantment, or land card from their hand onto the battlefield. Repeat the process until no one puts a card onto the battlefield. And most people think, I'm going to put my Emrakul on the battlefield, put a bunch of Eldrazi, maybe a Primeval Titan, Golos, and then, the game is mine. But actually, it doesn't work out like that. Your opponents will put, like, way more stuff. Maybe you don't even expect it. Maybe they'll play a Venser, for example. Venser, Shaper, Savant, bounce your big thing, and then all of a sudden you don't really have anything left. So this card backfires way more often than you would think. Geyer with the super chat. Howling Mine always backfires. If you're playing with 3 opponents, technically you're giving them, like, way more cards than you're getting. At the beginning of each player's draw step, if Howling Mine is untapped, that player draws an additional card. You gotta just make sure it's, I guess you gotta make sure it's tapped before you pass your turn. That's how you gotta do it. Toads with the Steel Golem. Steel Golem, 3 mana for a 3/4. You can't play creature spells. Exactly! Oh my god. That is a very heavy price to pay for a 3/4 creature for 3 mana. Like, we have Endurance that's a 3/4 creature for 3 mana with Flash that exiles the graveyard, and this one says we can't play creature cards. Once you create Perfection, what else is there to make? Yeah, well, this is a very awkward definition of perfection. Blake with on Howling Mine. You also are the last one to get the benefit of the mine. True story. We got King Ginger here with the super chat. Eon Frolicker. This card has a lot of words on it. All right, blue, 2 generic for a 5/5 flying elemental otter. When Eon Frolicker enters the battlefield, if you cast it, target opponent takes an extra turn after this one. Oh my goodness! Until your next turn, you and planeswalkers you control gain protection from that player. But you still gave them an extra turn. I don't know. I don't want to be giving anyone an extra turn. Oh, but you get protection. So, like, I guess if it's one-on-one, this card, but you give your opponent basically 2 draw steps and 2 turns to, like, play anything that they want. There's no way that this is fair. Yeah, this is definitely a card that if your opponent... This helps your opponent definitely a lot more than it helps you, even if you have one opponent. John says, hey Nikachu, how was the side event tourney? It was great. I came back with like 3 draft booster boxes, 1 collector booster box, and a pack of Italian legends. Yeah, exactly, Wojtek. Perfection equals a 3/4 creature for 4. Oh, I see. Oh, this one was for 3. That wasn't quite perfection. All right, next, Hunted Wumpus. Man, that's a name I haven't heard in many a year. Wumpus. Hunted? Hunter? Did I misspell? There can't be that many Wumpus. Let's look at all the Wumpuses. Hunted. I think I spelled it right. Green 3 generic for a 6/6. When Hunted Wumpus enters the battlefield, each other player may put a creature card from their hand onto the battlefield. I mean, they'll just put some gigantic, stupid ETB creature and then completely wipe you out. This is the worst of all the ETB creatures in Magic the Gathering. 4 mana for a 6/6 that gives everyone basically a Hypergenesis turn. Very, very wild. Alex says, good morning, sir. How about Otherworldly Atlas? Otherworldly. I love it with Shield Red. Is that a reference? Otherworldly Atlas. Do I have this right? There's no Otherworldly Atlas. Sorry about that. It's probably something else Atlas. So Toad's Path says Sorrow's Path. Oh yeah! This is one of the worst Magic cards of all time. Tap, choose 2 target blocking creature and opponent controls. If each of those creatures could block all creatures that the other is blocking, remove both of them from combat. And then each one then blocks all creatures the other was blocking. Alright, so that is the good news. The bad news is that whenever Sorrow's Path becomes tapped, by the way, for any reason, you could tap Sorrow's Path. It deals 2 damage to you and each creature you control. So like if you like activate Opposition or Rishadan Port can tap things. You deal 2 damage to them and all the creatures they control. Tempting Worm, similar to that guy, but every opponent. Hold on. Tempting Worm. Tempting Worm. Green 1 generic for a 5/5. That's wild. When Tempting Worm comes into play, each opponent may put any number of artifact, creature, enchantment, and or land cards from his or her hand into play. There's no way you survive this. Imagine playing this thing on turn 2 and you'd be like, alright, let's see what happens. Let's say, do whatever you want, everyone. You guys have Hypergenesis, I have a 5/5 worm. Who would win? 3 people who can dump their entire hand onto the battlefield, or a 5/5 snail-looking thing? This is absolutely complete nonsense. Nikachu, did you do tempting? We just did it. It's right there. It's on the board. Appropriately balanced for a 2-mana 5/5. Funny enough, like, Tarmogoyf is just better than this most of the time. Anyway. Oh, look, John Terrence with Yavamaya Ant? Yavamaya Ant. Them ants back there. The ants! Okay, we got a green 2 generic for a 5/1 insect. Trample haste, commune upkeep 2. I don't think this helps the opponent. This just is not a very good card for us. Few natural forces are as devastating as hunger. Say the ants! And we've got, oh, King, is that what we did? Yeah, we just did a tempting worm. Did I give you a sound effect? I don't remember giving you the sound effect. Okay, Toad says bedazzled worm or worm. Remember, people, it's not a race. Make sure that you've spelled it appropriately, or I can't find it. Bedazzled worm? I can't find this thing either. Your cards, people. Wood elemental. Yeah, you just blow up all your lands. And this is just turning into, like, just a bad cards video. Green, 3 generic for a star. Enters the battlefield, sack any number of untapped forests. Probably this helps your opponents, because you basically commit seppuku on your own mana base, and the power and toughness are each equal to the number of untapped forests sacrificed as they enter the battlefield. Tempting worm equals bedazzled worm? I don't get it. Oh, it's the same thing? I don't get it. Is it the exact same card? I don't see it. King Ginger says, could you do Iwamori of the... But what does this have to... Okay, let's look at it. Okay, green 2 generic for a 5/5 human monk with trample. But when Iwamori of the Open Fist enters the battlefield, each opponent may put a legendary creature card from his or her hand onto the battlefield. There's a lot of these cards. I can't believe it. There's like just millions of... It seems to be a green mechanic. Okay, you can have like a slightly big creature, but as a consequence, your opponent can like just show and tell something onto the battlefield. No, the worm is bedazzled with the gems on its back. Oh, that's what makes it bedazzled. Am I a boomer that I don't understand this reference? All right, we got Dylan of the Kami of the Crescent Moon. Oh, by the way, thank you very much for the super chat. That's the butt crack guy, right? Oh, we don't see his butt crack. He looks so pleased with himself that he's completely naked. Or we got a blue 1/3. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. Now that's true. This does help the opponents more than us because we don't actually get to benefit off of this card the very first turn that it enters the battlefield. So you just basically play Kami of the Crescent Moon, pass, and your opponent's already drawing more cards than you. Okay, Wojtek. Jace the Living Guild Pack. You're helping your opponent by playing the worst Jace out there. Well, that doesn't count. Poxy with Corona. I'm assuming it's this one. What, the Wooburg 1 generic 5/5 haste. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player untaps Corona, false guide, and gains control of it. Creatures of the type of your choice get +3/+3 until end of turn. Take my false god. Abzo says, Forest, you put yourself in a disadvantaged position. These are stupid. I've never lost with my Kami of the Crescent Moon deck, not even once. Well, you know how to make use of those cards, I guess. Veteran Ooh, that's a close one. You know, well, yeah, I guess it depends. I most certainly have... Looks like I can't find it very well on Explorer. Whenever I'm up against a Veteran Explorer deck, I can't make use of this damn thing. When Veteran Explorer dies, each player may search their library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield. Then each player who searched their Then each player who searches the library this way shuffles it. Usually, if you're up against a veteran explorer deck, they want this thing to die. They're like, come at me, bro. Oh, you want to kill me? Do it. So it's just asking for danger. See, they're up in this tree branch, hoping to get shot down by some sniper. Or an archer or something. This could potentially help your opponent more than it helps you, but generally speaking, it's a card that is put in decks only to help themselves. Hellcarver Demon. Wasn't this card just like recently got like more, went from like $1 to $20, and I guess now it's back down to $5. Black, 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 3 generic for a 6/6 flyer. But whenever Hellcarver Demon deals combat damage to a player, sacrifice all other permanents you control and discard your hand. Exile the top 6 cards of your library. You may cast any number of non-land cards exiled this way without paying their mana cost. It's just like, it's just a bit janky more than anything. Certainly, it probably helps your opponent. It doesn't, honestly, I don't think it really helps you if you have to sack everything that you have. And then just, so what is this related to? It's related to that, it's like a Cascade deck. I think there's a 0 mana card. It's almost like Spell Shift. If you cast Spell Shift on an opponent's spell, it's pretty likely to hurt you. Alright. Hold on. Spell Shift, blue 3 generic instant. Counter target instant or sorcery spell. Its controller reveals cards on the top of his or her library until he or she reveals an instant or sorcery card. The player may play the card without paying its mana cost. I agree! This is going to help your opponent more than it helps you. It's like it's a really narrow counter spell. It doesn't even hit creatures or artifacts. It's just instant or sorcery spells. And they could still hit the exact same spell all over again. Yeah, it doesn't say that you can't hit the repeating spell. Blake Mamba. Phyrexian Negator. Oh god, yeah. Phyrexian Negator, a black 2 generic 5/5 horde with trample. Phyrexian Negator is whenever Phyrexian Negator is dealt damage, sacrifice that many permanents. Oh yeah, people back then, they'll say, wow, this was the best card of all time. It was great versus the control decks and combo decks. But by today's standards, you cannot afford to be sacrificing all your permanents whenever it takes damage. If you're playing this thing, like, I don't know, reading this card today, this is unplayable. Just absolutely unplayable. Gyre with Coat of Arms. How does that help your opponent, though? Each creature gets +1/+1 for each other creature on the battlefield that shares at least one creature type with it. This could potentially help the opponent more. Yeah, that's true. That could help more. For example, if 2 Goblin Warriors and a Goblin Shaman on the battlefield each get +2/+2. It's possible. Like, you'd have to be playing a deck that has absolutely no synergy with creature types. One with nothing. I don't know about one with nothing. If you're playing a 1 with nothing deck, you probably want all your cards in the graveyard. Okay, we got Zolot Litolox. It's a very hard name to pronounce. Did you do Abyssal? No, we haven't done Abyssal Persecutor yet. Okay, we got a black 2 generic for a 6/6 demon with flying and trample. You can't win the game and your opponents can't lose the game. What kind of trade-off is that? I'm not allowed to win the game anymore, and my opponents can't lose the game anymore? So what, I have to kill my own Abyssal Prosecutor at some point? And what if they, I don't know, then, is there a way of, like, giving protection to this? Can anyone lock the game up with an Abyssal Persecutor? I imagine if you donated this to someone and, I don't know, gave it protection from everything, somehow, that, well, anyway, the game would just end in a draw. Because we can't lose. Hold on. We can't win the game, and your opponents can't lose the game. Okay, but the opponents can still win, but you can still lose. Got it. Alright, well, next up, we've got... That's sick as hell. The flavor text. His slaves crave death more than they desire freedom. He denies them both. You can donate it, but like, what are you gonna do after you donate it? Then Wrath, yeah, Wrath can still kill it. It's in the Bullies deck. The Bullies deck, of course. The deck that tries to donate all the garbage to somebody. Alright, we've got Cabri, Sheltering Agent. Sheltering Ancient. Sheltering Agent for a green 1 generic, a 5/5 trample. Commutative upkeep, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature an opponent controls. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so we can make your opponent's creatures infinitely big. You have to kill them really quickly. And in Commander, that's probably almost never going to happen. That's like an 8-turn clock with the Sheltering Agent. But a counter, put a +1 on a creature an opponent controls. Can keep making something really big. Put it on the wall. The wall's never going to attack anyway. Next up, we've got Balder with the Super Chat. Path to Exile. You know, this card is unplayable in Modern because, you know what? In a great sense, it does help the opponent more. It's a white, exile a creature, and then they can search their library for a basic land card and put it on the battlefield tapped. In the late game, it's good when your opponent's empty-handed, but in the early game, it's terrible because you just ramp your opponent to kill you. Stetson Hershey. Vexing Devil, of course. You know what? I don't know if this one counts. You either get a 4/3 creature or the opponent takes 4 damage. No. This is disqualified. It's got to be, it's got to strictly help the opponent in some way. This whole stream is the Bullies deck? I guess so in some way. Tolarian Community College just released a Commander game that ended in a draw with Abyssal. There we go! Sometimes nobody has removal. Nobody has removal and nobody can win the game. How did that work though? Because people can... You can't lose? Let's reread that guy again. You can't win the game, and your opponents can't lose the game, but you can still lose, and your opponents can still win. How did that end up in a draw? How bizarre. Dio Brando with the Sky Swallower. Oh, hold on, no, sorry, I forgot. There's 2 different Sky Swallowers. This one is an 8/8 flyer, but when it comes into play, target opponent gains control of all other permanents you control. Everything! Everything of mine, it's now yours. Take it all. I'm a minimalist now. I don't need everything. Crab Tribe says, my brother thinks I am famous because you read my comments. Hey, I guess that's another way of becoming famous. It wouldn't be a show without Vexing Devil showing up. I know, but it's not really that good of a card. I don't think it really fits the format, to be honest. Yes! Bitter Blossom. Yeah, this card's terrible. No one believes me. That's why the price is still like $25 to $35. Black 1 generic, tribal enchantment, fairy. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life and create a 1/1 black fairy rogue creature token with flying. But don't forget, you still lose that 1 life. And every life point is very precious. No one wants to blame Bitter Blossom for their losses. They're like, no, Fairies just doesn't have enough tools. No, your Bitter Blossom is killing you. Voitech with the Super Chat. Thank you so much. Morning. Enjoy your mediocre flyer while losing ever-increasing amounts of life. Its sister creature, Gallow Braid, is marginally better with trample. What is this? Gallow Braid? Thank you so much for the Super Chat, Voitech. We got a black 3 generic, 5/5 trample, a cumulative upkeep, 1 life. Oh my god. It's only a 5/5 for 5 mana, people. What do we want it like? So you lose 1 life, then 2 life, then 3, then 4. You'll be dead in like, I don't know, 7 turns. That's compound interest. It's the power of compounding life death. Okay, Chopsy Doodle with a Coveted Jewel. Is this new? 6 mana. Enters battlefield, draw 3 cards. Add 3 mana of any one color. Whenever 1 or more creatures an opponent controls attacks you and are in block, that player draws 3 cards and gains control of Coveted Jewel. Untap it. Yes, with great jewel comes great responsibility. Oh, yeah, this card, Magozi. Magozi the Water Veil. Oh, man. Do I have foils of this? Maybe not. Like, this is... and I think there was, like, an interaction that came out, and this card is still crap. Enters the battlefield tapped. So, I mean, you know, not looking good already there. Tapped, add a blue mana to your mana pool. That's the best ability on this. Then you can pay a blue, tap, put an Eon counter on Magozi the Water Veil. Skip your next turn. And tap, remove an Eon counter from Magozi the Water Veil and return it to its owner's hand. Take an extra turn after this one. You're literally like, okay, do nothing with this card. Then give your opponents extra turns. And then tap and get an extra turn after this one. It's a very high price to pay for almost nothing. I don't remember. Is commutative upkeep optional? In some sense, yes. If you choose to not pay the upkeep, then you have to sacrifice the card. You can choose not to pay it. Isn't this a combo piece in some decks? There was some combo invented with this, but I don't think it went anywhere. Like, I think there was a lot of hype, but the card still sucks. Lexus with the super chat. Thank you so much. What are the rules for this episode? Is it just plainly horrendous cards, or is it... I would prefer it's cards that give your opponent an advantage. So we give our opponent an extra turn, and also this card is just clunky in general before we even got a benefit. So you want Ether Rift. Let's look at Ether Rift. Okay, we got a green-red, 1 generic enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, discard a card at random from your hand. If you discard a creature card this way, put that card into play unless any player pays 5 life. I would say this does, in some sense, help your opponent because you're just discarding cards at random. And if you randomly discard a creature card, the best case scenario is that your opponent's just going to pay 5 life for it. Do you have to choose a player at random? Any player... Oh, no. Any player pays 5 life. We have another genie. Beanpot with Ernham Djinn. Alright, we got a green, 3 generic, 4/5 genie. At the beginning of your upkeep, target non-wall creature an opponent controls gains Forest Walk until your next upkeep. Is that really such a big deal? I guess you're giving them unblockable because you're obviously a green deck in itself. I'm disqualifying one with nothing. This card, if you're going to play the card, you're probably playing some graveyard deck, so it's probably not really benefiting your opponent at all. Discards Emrakul, you're going to pay... You're going to pay the 5. Nikachu, did you do Form of the Squirrel? No, Form of the Squirrel. This is a fake card. As Form of the Squirrel comes into play, you put a 1/1 green squirrel creature token into play. You lose the game when it leaves play. Creatures can't attack you. You can't beat the target spells or abilities, and you can't play spells. What a weird card. That's you. You are the squirrel. Be one with the squirrel. Imani, have we done Secret Rendezvous yet? Nope. The Secret Rendezvous. A white, 1 generic sorcery. You and target opponent each draw 3 cards. It's actually a little bit of sharing here. You also get the 3 cards. I don't know if Leveler works. That's just a card that does something for you. Yeah, 4 or 5 for 3. Yeah, this card is actually quite good. 4 mana for a 4/5. Your opponent just gets like 1 creature with Forest Walk. They may not even have a creature in play. All right, we're gonna look at more cards that benefit your opponent more than they benefit you. But we have to today thank our sponsor, FusionGamingOnline.com. If it loads, it did load. Deal of the week this week: 20% off all unsets. Wasn't that the deal last week? Deal of the week: 15% off all Modern Horizons 2 singles. What else did it say? And sealed product. So sealed product only delivered within Canada, but outside of Canada, you can get all the singles. They will ship internationally. And don't forget, when you're getting your Modern Horizons 2 cards, don't forget to use coupon code Nikachu at checkout to get 5% off all your purchases. And we're also going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place for renting Magic cards online. Thank you, Mana Traders, because thanks to you, I was able to play test my Legacy Merfolk deck online, borrowing the cards, the Dazes, the Force of Wills, the True Name Nemesises, and I ended up going 6-3 at MagicCon Minneapolis. I got myself in a Legends booster because when you are playtesting online, you can use that experience for the actual paper Magic. So if you want to playtest for your next paper events, playtest online using Mana Traders, using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or use coupon code Nikachu_FHD for 10% off your first 2 months. All right, back to the cards. Let's look at these wild things. Okay, Kadia says Avizoa. I don't even know what this is. Okay, Avizoa, a blue 3 generic 2/2 flyer. Skip your next untap phase. What the hell? Avizoa gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Use this ability only once each turn. Why would I even want to use it once? Hold on, is there a combo here? Hold on. Skip your next untap phase. No, you don't want to skip your next untap phase. You can sometimes want to skip your upkeep, but untap phase goes too far. Absolutely goes too far. Okay, Vitor, Worm Fang Manta. Alright, blue 5 generic for a 6/1 flyer. When Wormfang Manta comes into play, skip your next turn. When Wormfang Manta leaves play, you take an extra turn after this one. Alright, so actually, in some sense, your opponents actually want to protect the Wormfang Manta. Mesmeric Orb synergy? Oh, with the skipping your untap step? Well, that's some very, 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 very loose synergy. Okay, everyone is now mentioning Chronotog. Also, skip your next turn. Chronotog gets +3/+3 until end of turn. Use this ability only once each turn. Well, at least that, I guess they have to use the clause because you'd be like, okay, skip my next 10 turns, deal 30 damage to you, or 31 damage for that matter. Yeah, this card would be broken if they didn't have that clause. By the way, but only doing it once? Now I'm not giving you another turn just so I can buff this thing in combat. I guess there's only one time you'd ever want to do this is on the killing turn. Mitch Falors, Archfiend of the Dross. We got black 2 generic 6/6 flying Phyrexian Demon. This is a new card. Enters the battlefield with 4 oil counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove an oil counter from Archfiend of the Dross. Then, if it has no oil counters on it, you lose the game. Oh God! Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, its control loses 2 life. So at the beginning of your upkeep, remove an oil counter. If it has no oil counter, this definitely helps your opponent more than you, because it's very unlikely that you're going to kill them with this. It doesn't look powerful enough. The last clause makes it brutal. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, it loses 2 life. So what's the idea? You're supposed to play this and also then just sweep the board. Yeah, I guess sweeping the board is not bad with this card because you get rid of the Archfiend of the Dross and you dome your opponent for probably a bazillion life. Or does it happen? Does it get the ability? I don't know if it gets the ability. I don't know how it works. It's pretty good in draft. Well, there's a lot of cards good in draft that are worthless and constructed. 6/6 flyer. Yeah, I know it's a limited bomb. All right, Deuce Machina, Noble Heritage. White 1 generic legendary enchantment. Background: commander creatures you own have When this creature enters the battlefield, and at the beginning of your upkeep, each player may put 2+1/+1 counters on a creature they control. For each opponent who does, you gain protection from that player until your next turn. You know what? I could totally see this not really benefiting the player that plays this. Because if you're in, like, I don't know how to put it, like, you know, you're in the stage of the game where you're just building you're building a fortress, you're putting out your creatures, you're not ready to attack yet, it doesn't matter that your opponent has protection from you, because you were probably not even going to attack them anyway. Oh, interesting. Actually, what this also does, it makes your opponent's creatures get really big and sort of encourages them to attack each other. Chronotog is a May thing. It is a must. Look at it right. Chronotog. Skip your next turn. Chronotog gets +3/+3 until end of turn. Uses this ability only once each turn. You do not have to do that. You may use that ability only once. Okay, Christopher B. A Font of Mythos. Howling Mine doubled? Oh god. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws 2 additional cards. And you can't control it either. So you can't, like, put it into play and tap it to deprive your opponents of drawing cards. Your opponents will strictly be drawing extra cards. Basically, put this on the battlefield, and everyone gets cards before you get cards. Dorian, Serpent Warrior. Don't know if there's any upside. Okay, black 2 generic for a 3/3 Snake Warrior. When it enters the battlefield, you lose 3 life. What is this? Do I have a sound effect for this? This is crazy. This is like, basically you're just playing a 3/3 for 3, which there are millions of, and you lose 3. The upside is, I don't know, maybe for a Death Shadow deck or something. But it's quite crap. Alright, we got next, Stranger Candy with, Dia O-chan, Artful Beauty. Wow, this is a real card. Okay, red 3 generic for a 1/1. It's not very big for a creature that's 4 mana. It's a legendary creature. On your turn, before you attack, you may tap Dio-chan to destroy any one creature. Then your opponent destroys any one creature of his or her choice. So they might blow up the Dio-chan. This doesn't seem so bad. Like, if this is actually on... If it's your only creature, and let's say it's a commander, like, it's not like you're going to destroy it and it's gone. It's going to come back with the commander tax. But it has to be the only thing in play. It seems awkward. This is a very, very interesting commander. Whatever, I'll let it stick. How about Hushbringer? It depends on the deck. Like, if you're playing Hushbringer, like, it's only Hushbringer only helps people who are playing with, like, Uro and the elementals. Give her Shroud so she can't be targeted. Perpetually blow up your opponent's stuff. Wall of Vipers. Wall of Vipers. Never heard of this card. Okay, we got a black 2 generic 2/4 wall. Pay 3, destroy Wall of Vipers and target creature it's blocking. Any player may play this ability. Oh god. Yeah, so your opponents will always choose when to destroy your wall, and you never get to. I mean, I guess you get to say as well. Destroy Wall of Vipers and target creature it's blocking. This wall sucks at being a wall because you want to block the dinky stuff like a 1/1 creature, but you can't even do that because anyone will just pay 3 mana and both go down at the same time. I see you in hell, Wall of Vipers. Oh, wait a minute. Who said trade secrets? That's a good point. Hold on. Trade secrets. Trade secret. I don't remember where I saw it, but trade secrets. That helps your opponent so much that they banned it. Blue, 1 generic. Sorcery. Target opponent draws 2 cards. Then you drop to 4 cards. That opponent may repeat this process many times as he or she chooses. Oh, actually, no. That doesn't actually. I thought it was the other way around. I thought it gave your opponent 4 cards. You got 2 cards. No, this deal sucks. It's a bad deal. Helps your opponent way more than sorry, it helps you way more than you hope your opponent. Did you crack your prize packs or sell them? I haven't sold them yet. I'm diamond hands. Definitely never gonna open them. David with the Sibilant Spirit. Alright, we got a blue 5 generic, 5/6 spear with flying. Whenever Sibilant Spirit attacks, defending player may draw a card. I like it. I like it. I like to draw the card. Relax, I'm sure it's just a snake hissing. Avram Garrison, leader of the Knights of Stromgeld. I think by the turn 6, cards are at a premium, and it's going to be worth way more than a flying 5/6 creature. 5/6 creature, not bad. But as we saw, you know, you can have a 6/6 flyer for 4 mana and not give your opponents cards. And we've got Blake Amamba with the super chat. Bucknard's Everfull Purse. Is that a real card? Everfull? One of my favorite cards? Alright, 2 mana. Artifact, pay 1, tap, roll a d4, and create... What the hell is a d4? It's a... Oh, there is a... Yeah, I was like, how do you shape something to be 4-sided? But yeah, it's like a pyramid, right? Alright, roll a d4 and create a number of treasure tokens equal to the result. The player to your right gains control of Bucknard's Everpurse. Oh, then they're going to use it. It has to be directly to your right. They might not roll nearly as well, though. Yeah, it's a 4. I get it, but I just couldn't visualize it. I'm like, a 6-sided die is already a square. So what, is this going to be, like, flat or something? No, yeah, I forgot that it could be a triangle. Yeah, I figured it out. Yeah, the pyramid one. Crab Tribe, indebted Djinn. These, the Djinns, the genies, in debt. No, there's an indebted samurai. Is this what you wanted? White 3 generic for a 2/3 human samurai with Bushido 1. Whenever a samurai you control is put into a graveyard from play, you may put a counter on... No, that's not it. I don't know this card. I'm looking at all the Djinns. All the genies. Oh, I think you meant indentured. We did that one already. That's how I started the show off. Give your opponents 3 cards. Wild, very wild card. Okay, bulky. We have Force Mage Advocate. We got a green 1 generic, 2/1 Centaur. Tap, return target card in an opponent's graveyard to his or her hand. Put a counter on target creature. You have got to be absolutely kidding me. This deserves something better. Hold on. Opponent gets, I don't know, Ulamog back to their hand, and I simply got 1/1/+1 counter, and I have to give them something. I have to put a card from their graveyard back into their hand. I guess it could be anything. I could give them a land or something. But if the graveyard is just loaded with gas, then I'm just screwed, absolutely screwed. Pretty much all the Monger cycle at this point. All right, next up we got David Willard. Trade secrets could deck you out. Okay, that's true. Okay, we'll go back to trade secrets. I said that this was probably not to your benefit. But let's be serious. It's probably to your... You're not going to deck yourself. Because you can choose to stop drawing cards. Target opponent draws 2 cards, then you draw up to 4 cards. That opponent may repeat this process as many times as he or she chooses. So you draw up to 4 cards, but then if you choose... What if you choose 0? Can your opponent keep drawing cards? No. Your opponent draws 2 cards, and you draw up to 4 cards. The opponent may repeat the process. I'm assuming if you choose it to be done, your opponent... Or do they keep going? You can stop the loop too. Or they can go on for forever? So I choose 0, and they choose. I'll get 2 cards. I'll get 2 cards. I'll get 2 cards. Suddenly, I don't know how this card works. Opponent can keep going. Oh my god, that's broken. Okay, this works. There's going to be a point where you're going to want to stop, and it's going to benefit more to them than it will for you. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of this Forced Fruition card. All right, let's look at Forced Fruition. Blue, 4 generic enchantment. Whenever an opponent plays a spell, that player draws 7 cards. Holy crap! Whenever an opponent plays a spell, that player draws 7 cards. How does this even help you? This doesn't help you at all. I guess you're just hoping your opponent will just deck themselves. Because there's a limit. You just make sure that your deck has at least 1 Emrakul and you are golden. So what do you want to do? You want to donate this to your opponents and then just make sure that you have enough Eldrazi? Well, Emrakul is banned, but there's other Eldrazi's you can play in your deck to make sure that you don't deck yourself. You still gotta discard it before the end of your turn. Like, if you draw a card before that Emrakul hits the graveyard, you're doomed. Alright, next we've got Josh. Welcome, Josh. Mana Flare. Thank you very much for the super chat, Josh. Have to spend 3 mana to double both? Okay, red 2 generic. Whenever a player taps a land for mana, that player adds 1 mana of that type to his or her mana pool. Oh yeah, so like basically you're gonna give your opponents the mana. You know, I'm a little confused because this doesn't really look like it's part of the red color pie. Whenever a player taps a land for mana, that player adds 1 mana of any type that land produced. Oh, hold on. So no, it doesn't double the mana. Whenever a player taps a land for mana, that player adds 1 mana of that type. Oh no, yeah, it does. It doubles the mana. So it does double the mana. And you put this on the battlefield. The opponents get to take advantage of it before you do. And you screw yourself, basically. Abza with Hull Breacher. Oh my god, Forced Fruition with Hull Breacher. So whenever they play a spell, you get 7 treasure tokens. Oh god. But it's banned, so not actually gonna happen. What else do we have here? Chanfred with Erethizon. Oh yeah, green 2 generic 4/4 beast. Whenever Erethizon attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature of defending player's choice. That is really awkward. So you have to attack first before you even know how your opponents are blocking, and they can just put the counter wherever they want and then kill this damn thing. Yeah, same thing with Nissa Part of the Veils and into Trade Secrets. We've got the answer to Trade Secrets. Unban Trade Secrets. Unban it. Alright, next we have GWJ with the Steel Golem. Oh, we did this one. Yeah, this one's terrible. Can't play creature spells. In no world is this playable. Like, why does this even matter? It was first printed in the Weatherlight. It's on the... No, it's not on the reserve list. Such a weird card. Only a red card when there was mana burn. Oh, yeah! So once upon a time, if you had mana in your mana pool and you did not spend it, it dealt 1 damage to you for each mana you had in your mana pool. So, they don't have that rule anymore, but that makes a whole lot of sense. I guess it was some way of maybe, trying to get your opponents to mana burn themselves. What a stupid strategy, though. Blake Mamba. Red is Chaos. Oh, that's not an actual card. You're just saying red is chaos. All right, next up we've got who's someone who hasn't got one? Caden. Dragon Appeasement looks terrible, but does it help the opponent? That's the question. Appease. I'm not spelling appeasement right at all. Me no spell good. Here we go. All right. Green, red, black, 3 generic. Dragon Appeasement. Enchantment. Skip your draw step. Oh my goodness. Whenever you sacrifice a creature, you may draw a card. Oh! But you need to have creatures in play in order to do this. So you can lock yourself out of the game. You play this thing in response, they kill your creatures, and then boom, it's over. Look there, they carry that one upon a seat and chair. It must be their leader. Wait, oh, perhaps not. Make sure you have creatures to sacrifice, or you're screwed. You can be like basically necro locked. All right, Black Lance, break open. Target turn target face down creature and opponent controls face up. Nah, I'm not counting. That's not. This is a crappy card, but yeah, we did Howling Mine. A lot of these cards are great for donating. Erland, Measure of Wickedness. Feels too much. Feels like too much for me. All right, we got a black 3 generic enchantment. At the end of your turn, sacrifice Measure of Wickedness, and you lose their 8 life. Whenever another card is put into your graveyard from anywhere, target opponent gains control of Measure of Wickedness. I don't get it. So, hold on. At the end of your turn, sacrifice Measure of Wickedness, and you lose 8 life. It's like a hot potato. So you want to sacrifice something to give this to somebody else, and then give them the problem. And whenever another card is put into a graveyard from anywhere, target opponent gains control of Measure of Wickedness. I'm like, why doesn't this card get see any play? But you can just crack a fetch line and just give it to somebody else. I don't think Goblin Guide is bad enough. Duke says, most morph creatures have benefits when they turn face up, so break open does help your opponent if they're playing morph. Not good enough for me. Alright, Lexus, Ivory Gargoyle is a trap! It's a trap! Okay, white. 4 generic for a 2/2 Gargoyle, which is pretty garb for 5 mana. When Ivory Gargoyle is put into a graveyard from play, return it to play under its owner's control at the end of turn, and you skip your next draw step. Oh my god, what's with the skipping the next draw step every single time? White 4 generic, remove Ivory Gargoyle from the game. So when it's put in the graveyard from play, we get to get it back, and I just skip my draw step. I don't think it's worth it. Boulder, thank you so much for the super chat. Whoops. But we did trade secrets. We've done this thing. We've done this one 3 times today. Oh, I like this one. Grove of the Burning Willows. I love that one. Grove of the Burn Willows. It's so simple. Now, usually, it's played in a deck with, like, Punishing Fire. But if you just need some mana fixing, which has been the case in competitive Magic, if you just need a Gruul land, I mean, it's great for that. Also can cast Eldrazi's. But whenever you add the colored mana, the red or the green, each opponent gains 1 life. Mr. Deadhead with Quain. Don't even know what this is. Quain, Itinerant Meddler? Okay, we'll just say Quain the Meddler. Blue-white for a 1/3 Rabbit Wizard. Tap, each player may draw a card. Then each player who drew a card this way gains 1 life. Where's the downside? I don't get it. How do you go wrong? Each player may draw a card. Then each player who drew a card this way gains 1 life. There's like no downside to this whatsoever. Everyone gets to draw cards around here. Okay, a lot of people saying Eater of Days. Let's look at the Eater of Days. Vitor. 4 mana for a 9/8 Flying Trample. When it comes into play, skip your next 2 turns. It's a Leviathan, though. It is a Leviathan. You will be dead. I don't know who plays Eater of Days and can live to tell the tale. Have we done Break Open? I think we did Break Open. No, we did. Yeah, I think this card sucks. No, this doesn't work. Larry Lau with Endless Swarm. Green, 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 5 generic sorcery. Put a 1/1 snake, green snake creature token into play for each card in your hand. Epic. Where's the downside here? This doesn't work at all. This doesn't even help your opponent ever. In no capacity. Blake with Jinxed Idol. We got a 2 generic artifact at the beginning of your upkeep. Jinxed Idol deals 2 damage to you. Sacrifice a creature. Target opponent gains control of Jinxed Idol. Beginning of your upkeep, Jinxed Idol deals sack a creature. So basically, I have to take damage and I have to sack my own creatures in order to get rid of this damn thing. Very clever flavor text, though. Here, it is yours now. Go for it. How does Grove of the Burn Willows make the cut but not Goblin Guide? People who play Goblin Guide kill you with it. Grove of the Burn Willows does not kill you very easily. It is not obviously clear that the maybe getting a land part from Goblin Guide is more beneficial than it's a downside to Goblin Guide, but it's not clearly beneficial. Here you have to sack a creature in order to get rid of this damn thing. All right, next up, we got a lot of super chats actually here. We've got Ecos. Epic means for the rest of the game you can't play spells. That's how it helps you. Oh, okay, hold on. I'm gonna go back. Also Feldegriff. Okay, we'll go to. I will rejudge that card. I know. Hold on, which Feldegriff? There's 2 of them. Assuming it's the OG Feldegriff. Alright, so 4/4, Feldegriff gains trample until end of turn. Target opponent puts a +1/+1 green hippo creature token into play. For a white, I don't know, does this really count? Feldegriff gains flying until, oh yeah, I see, yeah. So you get like these little benefits, but really you're helping your opponent way more. You can pay a blue, gains flying, but your opponent gains 2 life. So you're really only dealing like 2 damage to your opponent. Or I guess to target opponent gains 2 life, you could attack somebody else. And pay a blue, return Feldegriff to its owner's hand. Target opponent may draw a card. Alright, now let's go back to that swarm, endless swarm. For the rest of the game, you can't play spells. At the beginning of each of your upkeeps, copy the spell except for its epic ability. Okay, I agree. I think, you know what? But you know what? I still don't know if I like this card as an example. It doesn't really benefit your opponent. Like, you still get something. It sucks! In exchange for never playing anything for the rest of the game again, you get a 1/1 creature. But it doesn't strictly help your opponent. So still, I'm going to go back, I reevaluate. I don't care. Not on topic enough. Wesley Gee, Contested Warzone. Thank you very much for the super chat. Contested Warzone. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, that creature's controller gains control of Contested Warzone. Tap, add a mana, and pay 1 tap. Attacking creatures get +1/+0 until end of turn. Yeah, it's another one of these cards. Is, you know, basically, it's a card you share around the table. That's what it is. It's a card you share around the table. See, Mana Crypt I don't like because the mana is worth more than the downside. Mana is worth too much. You know what that might qualify? Hold on, what is Field of Ruin? Field of Ruin in some ways does, but if you're in a 4-player game, it benefits your opponents more than it benefits you. Sack it, destroy target non-basic land opponent controls. Each player gets to search for a basic land card, put onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Confounding Conundrum. Landfall players will love you for playing it. I'm sure they would. Yeah, ETB draw a card whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent control. If that player had another land enter the battlefield under their control this turn, they return a land they control to its owner's turn. In the right spot, though. Yeah, versus a landfall deck, this would backfire badly. Okay, Rites of Flourishing from Chris. Floor. Rites of Flourishing. Alright, we got a green 2 generic enchantment. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. Oh god. Each player may play an additional land on each of their turns. Oh god! Yeah. Again, it's like, is this Howling Mine, really? At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draw... Yeah, so it's Howling Mine, but it's worse, because your opponent can now, like, ramp with their extra mana. All the leech cards? Well, you gotta name one. I don't know all the leech cards. A Ganjo Uprising? Alright, red, white, X, sorcery. Create X 2/2 white samurai creature tokens with vigilance. They gain menace and haste until end of turn. But each opponent creates X -1 2/2 white samurai creature tokens with vigilance. X -1. So they get the same number. So unless you pay this for 1... Yeah, they definitely will get more benefit. Well, if it's 1-on-1, they benefit more. Sorry, you benefit more than them by like 1 token. But if it's you versus 3 other people, they're going to benefit way more than you do. And you're going to get crushed by your own samurai creature tokens. Ooh, the Divine Gambit. How divine this is. Yeah, white sorcery. Exile target artifact, creature, or enchantment opponent controls. They may put a permanent card from their hand onto the battlefield. And then you screwed. So yeah, well, it's a gambit. Do they got something big in hand or maybe not? Okay, Wesley Gee with the super chat. Coveted Jewel. Oh, yeah, we did this one. You get to draw a bunch of cards, but then when they deal any damage to you, or sorry, when one or more creatures in opponent control attacks you and aren't blocked, you get it. You scoop it up. Well, sounds like a lot of people. We got a bunch of super chats at the end, so we're gonna deal with the super chats. Josh, Noble Benefactor. People squeezing in them super chats before the show ends. All right, blue, 2 generic for a 2/2. What is it? A human cleric. If Noble Benefactor is put into a graveyard from play, each player may search his or her library for any one card and put that card into his or her hand. Each player who searches his or her library shuffles it afterwards. Oh God. Yeah, that's a good. It's like, it actually reminds me of Braids in some way, but this is like upon death. Everyone gets a little bit of value. Have we not done the old growth dryads? I don't know. There's a lot of cards. I'm sure there's a lot of cards that we didn't do. All right, that's it. Here we go, people. Oh, where am I? All right, thank you very much for showing up today. If you want to be part of the show, you got to be here Monday to Friday, 11 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. Be there or be square. Thank you very much for the supporters, people. Everyone who supports the channel with the super chats. If you're a member on YouTube, if you're a patron on Patreon, thank you very much. And also, most importantly, we got to thank the people who show up here in the morning that makes the show what it is today. People like Aburn, Rotboy, Toads, Abzo, King Ginger, Silvercations, Crab Tribe. We've got Gabe, Poxy, Gareth, Cute Spider, King Ginger, Pyre, Beanpot, Vitor, Balls, and more, and many more, of course. So thank you very much for showing up in the morning. And as usual, my coffee crew, keep brewing them coffees, and we'll keep brewing up the magic. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you at the next cup.